that brings me to apps because some people, I don't know how much you've used, say, something like Duolingo. Some polyglots and language enthusiasts like you stray away from saying things about Duolingo or what they really think about them because they're just so huge, and there's a little sponsorship here and there. So say what you want, but where do you stand on apps, and if you are a fan of them, which ones specifically for Spanish, that is?
Sure. Yeah, good question. I'm a fan. Yes and no. Too many apps is bad. If you have too many apps, you're just gonna overwhelm yourself. You're not gonna focus deeply on a few, and then you're gonna spread yourself too thin, and they're not gonna be nearly as effective. So I believe one of my favorites is Anki. Anki's great. Anki is like a spaced repetition flashcard system. It's free on the computer. I want to say it's like $25 on like iOS. Um, but flashcards are amazing. Spaced repetition flashcards are even better because if you're not familiar with how they work, whoever's listening, essentially, let's say you're presented with three words: hola, adios, gracias. If you know hola perfectly, you can tell the system, hey, I know it perfectly. It'll remind you in 10 days. If you know gracias like kind of well, it'll remind you in 2 days. And if you don't know, I think it was adios, it will remind you in like 10 minutes or whatever. So those are super effective. That's an app I highly recommend. Also, another one, there's two good ones. They can be a little bit iffy sometimes just due to the people on the app, but Hello Talk or Tandem are good ones for speaking. For those of you who struggle with finding speaking partners, this is a great way to meet people who are also trying to learn, let's say, English. You guys can do a language exchange, it's free. However, sometimes, once again, people can be flaky or weird, whatever. And then, yeah, so with regards to Duolingo, I know this is like the hot topic. Everyone wants to know, oh, does Duolingo actually work? Does it not work? I think Duolingo is actually a great supplement to whatever you're learning because, once again, Duolingo is great for maybe learning some new vocabulary and stuff and learning some basic sentences and phrases. However, once again, it doesn't cover a lot of basic rules and formulas that you can quite easily learn. If you go into Duolingo and it says like yo bebo agua, you might not understand that bebo is being conjugated into the yo person because it doesn't teach you that. Whereas if you were to just simply take 10 minutes, read that, study it, and put it into use, you'd instantly be able to learn any ER verb, any regular ER verb, and instantly be able to conjugate it in the present tense. So like things like that. But I think it's a great supplement. I actually used Duolingo as a supplement in high school, just because whatever, just for fun, or I was bored. So that's what I'd say. But don't get too many apps.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would agree with you. It's hard to believe, and I'll throw this to you. Do you think that you could become fluent just using Duolingo or just using an app?
Um, no. However, I mean, if you're only using Duolingo, I mean, I think you could do okay. I think it comes back to that idea of there's plenty of knowledge to be found on Duolingo, but it's more so taking that and putting it into the real world. Like for example, right now I'm learning Mandarin Chinese and I'm using Duolingo as a supplement, but if I'm not like going out into the real world and trying to use the things that I'm learning in Duolingo, it's not gonna become nearly as reinforced. I don't know if that's correct English,
Yeah.
as it would be if I was just on Duolingo. I'm bored. I'm like barely going through it, barely paying attention. I'm like, oh, I just don't want to miss my streak or whatever. So
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the gamification of languages is where Duolingo is making its money, right? I mean, the streaks, the points, all the things. I too, over the course of all these years, have used Duolingo, as a supplement. Once again, I think that it's almost near impossible for you to become fluent using just Duolingo. I think it's, and I don't even think that they would feel comfortable saying that this will make you fluent. I think that that would be a bit of a stretch from them.
sure.
You know, so but it is a good supplement to get something out of. Before I dig into let me finish with the apps. Have you ever tried Pimsleur?
No, I've never tried Pimsleur.
Okay, that's really interesting. So I mean, you know what it is. You've heard of it.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, all right. So most people will have. I, for instance, have never used Rosetta Stone, which I don't know if have you.
No, I have not.
Never. Okay. Yeah, I never did. But these are the popular ones, right? Duolingo, Pimsleur, Rosetta Stone, Anki. You will hear some about. Some people may have heard of Memrise, which I think use spaced repetition as well, just maybe not in a necessarily a flashcard basis. But I was just kind of curious, if you had used Pimsleur just due to the nature of the way that they have their method of learning, where it kind of at the very beginning of a lesson you would hear a Spanish conversation that you would not be able to understand. And the goal is by the end of the 30 minutes that you will go back and hear that conversation and understand everything. They take the time, though, to translate. Obviously, you're translating between Spanish and English, which is something, as you know, at the level that you're speaking, is something that you do not do anymore.
Right.
When you're in another language, you don't search for the word necessarily unless it's a very complex word in your mother tongue. So okay, I mean, I can't necessarily ask you the entire question because you haven't seen or you haven't used Pimsleur, but let's move on to what you said about Mandarin Chinese. What is going on there?